I was hoping I could monitor this from the app on my phone, but that doesn't seem to be an option, which is kind of weird. Anyway, it says we're streaming. Yep, looks like this is going. I was hoping I could... Okay. Hello everyone, this is Arafellon. I'm in Genshin Impact in the Miliastra Wonderland, which I only just today figured out how to pronounce because I looked it up on the wiki and saw it in other languages, and it's 1,000 stars, so Miliastra. Anyway. So yeah, this is a thing they added a few months back where people can make their own content stages. It's been compared to Roblox, I think, which I'm not terribly familiar with, but there's all sorts of stuff in here. They'll show some of the recent popular ones on the main page here. You can also save favorites to a thing, so... Today I'm playing Genshin Survivors, which... roguelike gaming with an endless mode, Vampire Survivors inspired. Yeah, I've played a few games like this before, standalone games on the stream, so if you've seen those, you should have a pretty good general idea of where this is headed. It takes a bit to load, because everything takes a bit to load. But we will be dropped right into the action with Hill Charles spawning already. So you start... Excuse me. Yeah, you start with the level 1 Javelin, and every time you level up from killing things, you get your choice of 3 things. You have 5 different weapons that are available, and 5 different passive abilities like regeneration. Yunai is one of my favorites. That's the purple thing there slashing around. I should probably get some regeneration, so when I get hit, I'll be able to heal it back eventually. You get increased max HP as a passive, you get Reap. Let's get health instead. Reap, I like it conceptually. It makes a little whirlwind that orbits around you. The problem is, it's difficult to aim, and you have to be fairly close to enemies for it to hit them. Surviving in a game like this, you want to not be close to your enemies. Or at least not closer than necessary. Yeah, Dominant similarly, that does damage in an area around you periodically, but I found that even when you level it up, the damage isn't very good. The radius does increase with levels, but it takes a while to get decent. Yeah, Javelin just attacks whatever's been alive the longest, does small AoE, better than nothing. Starfall's another pretty good one that just has meteors falling from the sky. Their aim is kind of terrible, but pretty large AoE, pretty good damage on hit. Let's level up Javelin. Now, these are all elemental damage, which usually matters more than it does here. And the main game, you have elemental react with each other, like if you have fire plus pyro fire plus electro lightning, will make an explosion, but here, not so much. The only thing that seems to matter for here is resistances, so if you hit a pyro slime with a javelin, which is pyro, it doesn't hurt it. Yeah, Alacrity's probably my favorite passive. You attack faster, which means more attack rate, which means it's a damage multiplier. Yeah, and Yunai makes those spawn periodically in semi-random locations. I think they tend to be fairly close to you. But yeah, you try to lure the enemies into them for maximum effect. You do have limited stamina, like in the normal game, so you can't just run around forever. You can walk all you like, but if you want to run... let's just do a little dominance just to show that works. Yeah. It's better than nothing, but it's not great at all. I'm gonna try to max out defense. I think that was plus 7% damage resistance per level. So if you max it out, that's 84% resistance, which is pretty good. Although if you get into endless mode far enough, it doesn't really help much. It's got a level of Reap just to show that. And you have this thing that orbits you constantly. You can try to position it on your enemies to have them stay in the whirlwind to rack up the damage. And again, you have to be fairly close to your opponents for them to do anything, and it's kind of a pain to use. Much easier to use Yunlai and Starfall. And of course, Javelin doesn't care where you are, it just shoots whatever has the most, or has been alive the longest. Not the most health, the longest time alive, so oldest spawn. Yep, so Starfall. Yeah, a lot of these will get moderate bonus effects at certain levels, like I think Dominance gets extra range every 5 levels up to 20, Javelin gets increased attack speed. Yunlai, I think, had a chance of summoning another one when the current one's exhausted, so that's another force multiplier. Starfall has a chance to get a bigger Starfall. This game also has a thing where if you get a weapon to level 20, and one of the passives, it's a different one for each weapon, to level 6, you get a chance to get like a basically evolve the weapon into a better version. Yeah, Raining Spear. These things will crash down into the field every so often. If you're in the radius of this aura for long enough, you get an extra bonus. So I'm going to go for Regeneration. Those get dangerous to get when things get further into the game, though, because you have to stay in a fairly small area for a while. Which means enemies can mob you. Yeah, the lack of elemental reactions really hurts Gale, or Reap rather. Because in the normal game, the way it works is if something has an element on it, like the Cryo Slimes here are always Cryo, the Pyro Slimes are Pyro. Yeah, if something is Cryo, Pyro, Electro, or Hydro, getting hit with an Anemo, which the wind, which that is, causes a swirl effect, which kind of hits everything nearby with that element. Add a boost to the power. Yeah, these are what you really want from the Raining Spear. There's Desire, which is a scaling thing. The more enemies you beat, the more damage you do. There's also one called Obsession, which raises your max health similarly. But yeah, if you want to go deep into the game, you want to get as many of those as possible. Yeah, Dominance is still barely doing anything. Of course, I haven't leveled it up, but even so. I haven't leveled Reap up either, and Reap is doing much more damage. Try to goad them into that. There, big meteor. You can tell because it's falling slower, and it's a ton of damage. It's not very often, it's not very well aimed, but it is a ton of damage. And then there's pickups. If you're lucky, every so often something will drop something, like this. If you pick that up, the water one just shoots water blades where you're facing for a while. Good damage. Very nice to get. Apparently I gained 2 of those there. This one is basically a bomb. So anything nearby takes a bunch of damage. when you're not further into the game, or when you're fairly early on into the game and things aren't all that strong, that's basically a screen clear. When you get further on, it's maybe not. So again, the enemies will scale up in damage and health and speed even. So if you get deeper into the game, it becomes harder and harder to kill things. Something dropped to health, it looks like. Yeah. Carrots are health. They will despawn eventually, but leave it around for now in case I need it. Yeah, using Reap effectively is all about your positioning. Starfall. There's another spear. Yeah, if you're in the area of this when it falls, you will get thrown across the stage. I don't think it actually hurts you, but it's a substantial knockback. Although enemies are also subject to that. It's Selection Plus. I don't really care for that much, because usually I'll like one of the selections anyway. But it doesn't hurt to boost crit damage. If you can boost crit rate and crit damage, that is, as usual for the game, that is a substantial force multiplier. So most of your hits are crit, your crits are getting big multipliers on it. You're doing a ton of damage. Yeah, some periodically stronger enemies will spawn, they'll have special names, they'll have a little skull icon on them. This one's called 316 No Scope. Yeah, they have kind of silly names to them. There's defense. Yeah, you just need to be inside the shield-looking thing, which is not a shield at all. But you can also get Empower out of these. These will add raw multipliers to your weapons. Again, I don't much care for Dominance, so that's not that useful, especially since I'm not leveling it up anyway. Damage plus is a multiplier to all your weapons, so that's good. There's Clank up in the air, we've got Turbo Clank. Yeah, you'll notice that although we've picked Regeneration Plus from the spears a few times, it's still only showing low-level regeneration in the level ups. Apparently those are handled separately, the actual level of this and the effect of it, so... yeah, let's level that up a bit more. I do want to get to at least level 6 so there's a chance to level up in later. I think it was Alacrity is what you wanted for Yunlai. Health for Starfall? Or is it? I don't remember. I think that's Empower Javelin. It might have been damage for Javelin. I think it was defense for Starfall. There is a help thing. You can see in the bottom right corner you press E for the Survivopedia, which gives you info in general gameplay, the weapons, the passives, Ascension. This is what I was looking for. So yeah, to power these up, it tells you what the requirements are. And no, apparently it does count the extra levels of regeneration from the spear for this. So Dominance wants regeneration for some reason. Javelin is damage. That kind of makes sense. Starfall was health, Reap was defense, Yunlai was Alacrity. Again, those, once you get the option for them, you'll be given a choice of 2 or 3 different ways of making it stronger. Some of them I find are better than others. Like with Yunlai, I believe the... oh, that's weird. The regeneration is showing up on mine now. Maybe you need to level it up for it to count the ones from the spear? Ranged enemies are, of course, the most annoying ones. I should probably get Spear up to level 5. There, Obsession. Every 250 enemies you kill gives you a bonus of 8% to max health. That does seem to apply only since you've gotten the bonus, so it's less useful than it could be. But it's still really good in a long-running game. I'm out of stamina now, so I can't run. Let's get some more health. Yeah, I'm going to prioritize defense until that's maxed out. You do eventually get a hard level cap. I think it was at 200. So if you survive a month long enough, you eventually reach a point where you're not gaining more levels, you're not getting more skills. And the spear events are the only way to get stronger. That and scaling passes that you already have. Yeah, I'm getting surprisingly lucky on the drops. Don't normally see this many. Unless that's been a recent tweak that I didn't notice. And as the background music, we have one of the standard Inazuma battle themes. Inazuma being the area that's loosely based on Japan, so we have that instrument going. Is that a shamisen? Or am I thinking of something else? Either way, it's a distinctly Japanese instrument. And yeah, 10 minutes of boss spawns. And we changed to a different Inazuma battle music. I think the actual boss this based on was called the Magu Kenki. So we have a Mango Kiwi. But yeah, if you don't stay within the radius, you take constant damage, so that's kind of bad. I kind of get why this was added, so you can't just go to the far side of the arena and snipe it with Javelin until you get bored. But I still don't like it. It is at least better now than it was when it was first introduced, because when the creator of this thing first added the boss circle, it was maybe half this radius. And especially if the boss wasn't alone, that gives you a very small area to work with that's probably crowded with enemies. But yeah, I just want to stay near the edge of the circle and whittle it down. If I'm lucky, a spear will fall from the sky and I'll be able to get that. Yeah, if you look in the top corner, you'll also notice the timer has paused. So essentially any spears we get while the boss is alive are bonus. Yeah, of course it's kind of a pain to stay in the boss circle and the boss sometimes just jumps back without warning. Oh, there's a... No? I thought I saw a spear fall. Maybe it was just the explosion from a starfall. Yeah, slowly but surely we're chipping away at Mango Kiwi's health. And my regeneration is not great, but it's enough that I'm surviving, which is all that really matters. And that is enough to count as clearing the game. But you have the option now to go into endless mode. If you do that, you get dropped back into the action, more enemies spawn, and things keep going. Indefinitely. The music is now more sinister. Yeah, strawberry noodles. This I find to be useless because while standing still. You know what happens in a Survivors like when you stand still? You get mobbed. And if you get mobbed, you're pretty much just dead. So what exactly is the point of that? Is it just bait? My Unai is tearing things up. That's what it's for. Let's do Starfall. Yeah, with max defense, I'm not taking much damage yet. But don't worry, if we get further into this, get far enough into this, enemies will be doing massive amounts of damage. Actually, in the mid-game like this, strawberry noodles might not be bad, because if you have your defense up, you're not getting hurt that much anyway. But if you get, like, half an hour, 40 minutes into the game, yeah, they'll just tear you up. There's a spear. I like to kind of try to circle around the outer edge of this so that the enemies don't get grouped up too much. Yeah, I'm using Reap more than Dominance, so let's pick that. Starfall. Yeah, and as I mentioned, you want to try to goad them into your Unai. Let's keep leveling Javelin. Yeah, I don't really remember where the game uses this music normally. Might be in, like, Beacon in the Air or something. Javelin 10 should have a decent speed boost to it, so get that. I was kind of hoping for crit rate, but I'll take damage. More alacrity. Yeah, the faster you attack, the more damage you do. And there are other ways to raise your raw damage, so I want all the attack speed I can get. Let's keep boosting in at least to 20. Yeah, levels are becoming fewer and farther between because it's taking longer to kill stuff. Starfall. Some more health. Yeah, the next will shoot homing missiles at you. If you're far enough away, they're not too hard to dodge. Yeah, those 12s are basically nothing at this point. Are you in there? Yeah, you can also see in the top left, there's a graph, a chart really, of how much damage each weapon has done. So you can tell Yunai is doing a lot of damage. Part of that is because I've been boosting it deliberately, but definitely want Desire. Starfall is also a good chunk of damage. Javelin, despite hitting constantly, is only kind of so-so. But it does have the advantage of hitting pretty much constantly no matter where you are. Let's boost damage a bit. Got another big meteor. Let's keep boosting Javelin. Yeah, Javelin is kind of the mainstay of your offense. It's not great, but it's good and it's reliable. Oh yeah, let's boost that. And at 20 minutes on the timer, there will be another boss. Also, you don't want to get near the mechs when they're waving their arms around like that. It's just a big hurt box at that point. Starfall 15. And yeah, sometimes enemies will jump at you. This, I believe, is temporary invulnerability. There's not exactly anything telling you that, but it seems like you can't get hurt like that. You can still get stuck inside crowds of enemies, though, so don't stand there. Again, I don't see the point of a power-up that requires you to stand still to do anything. Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of crit damage, but not a lot of crit rate. Both are possibilities from the spears. Again, it's all RNG, so you get what you get. Though, to be fair, that is an advantage of getting Selections Plus, because then you would have 3 options there instead of 2, which means you're more likely to get the one you want. Of course, it would be a lot more useful if it let you pick 2 things, but that's asking a bit much. 1 power-up per level, 1 power-up per spear. Yeah, we're at the point where I'm basically just running around in circles trying not to get hit. If I can steer something into a Unilive, good. But I'm worried more about surviving. Let's do more alacrity. And there's the next boss. Yep, right at 20 minutes. And 1 second. Oh, Flame Queso. I forget what the actual boss was called in the real game. There's your crit chance. So we're going from 5% crit rate to 15. And more than double damage. We went to try not getting hit by the dragon, because getting hit by a dragon hurts. Amazingly enough. Yeah, let's get some more regeneration. Regeneration is supposed to heal you faster the lower percent health you have, but I'm not sure how useful it actually is. We are gradually thinning out the other monsters. While the boss is here, new monsters will not spawn. So that's a small mercy anyway. But everything that was around before is not going away. Until you kill it. Which, as I've mentioned, is something I don't like about the boss rush. The more enemies there are, the more swamped you're going to get. Let's get some more health. I think regen was also scales up with max health. The advantage of having big enemies is it's a lot easier for them to wander into your attack ranges. Okay, looks like you're down to 1 archer, 1 copper flower, and that guy. Plus the dragon, of course. Yeah, you can see how much more damage the crits are doing than the regular hits. Yeah, 86 to the Whopper Flower instead of 34 on the Reap. Okay, we're just down to the dragon now. So once the dragon goes down, we'll get a large bonus to a weapon of our choice, and then more monsters will start spawning again as the timer resumes. And then it just keeps going on as long as you can survive. That's the name of the game, after all. That was just a meteor. I see things at the ground. I'm looking for a spear. Dashing does give you iframes, so I'm not doing that just to stay out of reach. Or just to position Reap, which at this point Reap is negligible since I haven't been building it up, but it does get to be pretty powerful if you focus on it. It's just I don't like the short reach, or how you have to position yourself well. And again, if you ascend it, you get a constant swirl all around you, which is very nice, but again, you have to be fairly close to your enemies for it to work. And as they scale up, that becomes increasingly risky. Yeah, you've probably seen the issue with Starfall at this point, is that you really can't aim it. It falls where it feels like, and if it doesn't hit anything, it just doesn't hit anything. You know how you can at least steer your enemies into it. But Starfall, there's only so much you can do. Yeah, we're currently getting 40% max HP boost from Obsession, so get more of that, try to build up additionally. So we will need 215 more kills for that one we just got to do anything, which obviously isn't going to happen for a while with the boss here and nothing new spawning. Yeah, you can also see your kills in the top right below the timer above the damage table. 1,927 now. So it doesn't tell you how much of that counts towards obsession or desire, but it is a counter. For obsession. And yeah, it is possible for the meteors to land directly on enemies. They'll explode prematurely when they hit them. I don't think that affects damage, but it's kind of neat. It's as soon as it makes contact with something. There's another spear. Yeah, like I said, the way the bosses sometimes rear back can make the boss circle more annoying than it should be. It's got some more health. That was almost 200 gain. And yeah, this is just going to take a while. Try not to get hit, and wait for his health to get slowly whittled down. It's kind of an interesting arena we have here. Roughly square, with some decorations around the outside. A heart made of flowers on the sides, some buildings around the edge. There's that thing in the background. Wedding scrolls, jade platforms, trees, lighthouse. And yeah, when you clear the first stage or die, you get put in a part that's way up there somewhere, and you can actually look down and see the stage from above. Get a better idea of the layout. Not that there's really much to figure out. It's, like I said, it's basically a big square with some decorations. But it's still neat that you get to see it from way up high. Yeah, if elemental reactions worked here like they do in the main game, those javelins and Unlights will be exploding every time they connect with each other. The Reek will be causing swirl damage. But that's just not a thing here. Like I think I said, other than resistances, elements don't mean anything in this minigame. Let's get more pickups. Why not? Okay. It's not going to last much longer. That health bar is almost exhausted. And here we go, we beat old Flame Queso. So you can get plus 100% damage to a weapon of your choice. I'm going to pick Unai, of course. That's the weapon I've been focusing on. And the spawns start spawning again. I think the initial stage up to Mango Kiwi, the spawns are fixed. And then in Endless mode, there's some randomization to it. Yeah, level 20 Unlight. It's not giving me the option to ascend it yet. I'm not sure why sometimes it doesn't do that right away. But I definitely have enough alacrity. Might need to get another level for it to register. Yeah, increase shit trance. So 1 in 4 hits will now be critical. With critical hits causing over double damage, yeah, 500 to 1250. Okay, now we're getting the option. So, with level 20 Yunlai and level 6 Alacrity, you get to pick, I think her name is pronounced Kuching. This is neat. This is kind of fun. You turn into the Unili, you become a big swirl of blades and fly around, and you're invulnerable while it lasts, but you keep toggling in and out of the mode. If you come out of it at a bad time, you're getting swamped because you have to get up in the enemy's faces to do anything with it. And also, you can still get caught on things, so you can get stuck in a court of enemies and even fall through the geometry sometimes, so I prefer this one. I believe what that does is that each of them just has a chance to do a hit of massive damage to any enemy anywhere on the field. And of course, the more Unili you have, the more effective that's going to be, because you get more chances. But yeah, if you occasionally start seeing just a huge number in purple in the middle of nowhere, that's what that does. Let's get Desire and get out of that mob. Yeah, that's what I mean about getting increasingly risky to collect the spheres. It's the further into the game you get, the stronger the enemies get, the faster the enemies get, the easier it is for you to get mobbed. And you have to stay within a fairly small radius to activate the spears, so that makes it easy to get mobbed. And if you get mobbed, you're in for a bad time. Just some more alacrity. And at this point, you just see how long you can keep going. As you can tell, it's taking a lot longer to kill things than it was earlier. Let's see if I can get the Javelin or a Starfall to 20. Get one of their evolutions. Ascension. It's called an Ascension. I don't know why I keep calling them Evolution. Maybe I'm thinking Pokemon. Oh, there's a spear. But yeah, this is why I circle around the edge, because if you're going to stay in the radius of it, that at least lets you move around a little more. Gives you some chance to avoid some of the enemies. There, Electro Charge is working. Maybe it's because the water is coming from the enemies? Yeah, the bomb did not kill everything. Of course, now that I've boosted Unili, it's going to damage everything significantly. Javelin. I'm gonna try to get that to 20. Just to show what options it has and demonstrate one of them anyway. Starfall also. Definitely take Desire over Reap. hillagers are making their constant insane noises. The big ones, rather. I think they're called Miliastra. Faster attack. Let's increase crit damage. Give us about a third chance to do 175% damage. Level 19, one more level. Yeah, the higher level your starfall is, the better the chance to get the big meteor. Big meteor does more damage over a wider area, and because it falls so slow, it's easier to steer enemies into it. So just better all around than the little one. Plus it knocks things off their feet, that's always helpful. Okay, Javelin 20. We get 3 options here. They're all slower than the regular Javelin, but they have interesting effects. This one has a larger AoE and damage. This one does... the damage keeps scaling up the longer it keeps hitting the same thing. I'm actually not sure how this works, so let's see how it turns out. Okay, it's just doing laser beams. And the laser beams appear to hit anything in the beam's path. Although if the angle down, it's kind of hard for it to hit more than one thing at a time. Well, maybe not. So I'm going to check that briefly. Weapon info. Unite. Chance to resummon itself. Chance cast at 80% at level 35. Reap gets bigger at 5, 10, 15, and 20. Starfall. Chance to summon big increases to 80% at level 40. Dominance gets bigger at 5, 10, 15, 20. And Javelin gets faster at 5, 10, 15, and 20. Not sure why that has to confirm and cancel, because they both just exit out of the help. Starfall 18. 2 more levels and we can ascend that. Yeah, I'm liking the laser beams. Let's get feet. Move faster, run better. Always useful when you're trying to run away from things to survive. Yeah, the indicator telling me we're 55 minutes into the stream, but only 28 minutes officially on the game itself. Because the timer in the game stops when you're on the bosses, so spend about half an hour on the bosses, it would seem. And yeah, the pyro slimes are immune to the fire damage. Yeah, I'm seeing vaporized from the wet also, so I guess it's just that the rainstorms from the Helltroll Shamans are the only things that are causing elemental reactions, which is weird. But at least something does. You don't get crystallized from the geo damage, which is unfortunate. I rather like shields. Okay, Starfall is at 20, and I'm not seeing the Ascension thing for that either. Maybe I haven't leveled up health enough. Let's do a crit chance. Let's check what the Survivopedia says. It says we have the requirements met, so I don't know. It's just really finicky about actually activating sometimes. I'd be curious to know how it's set up. Ah, here we go. Aftershock. Leave behind a crater that explodes. Cataclysm. Cluster. I haven't experimented with these enough to know which one I like best, but Cataclysm's fun. So, we'll do that. If it happens, you'll see what it does. So far, it has not. Also kind of curious what model they're actually using for the meteors. I think it might be an oversized flower of some kind. Always want more alacrity. Yeah, there's the Cataclysm. Just meteors everywhere. It's kind of glorious. Yeah, and I guess with the laser javelin, you want to try to steer enemies towards whatever it's targeting. Because it does have some area damage. Yeah, I thought I saw that shield-looking thing. I think that's what it is. I think it's just the Noel-style shield. Enlarged to really big. Just got these melt beams going. Yeah, there's a little meter next to the spear that goes up as you stay in range. Get some power Starfall. And when the meter is full, you get the prize. But if you leave the radius, the meter starts dropping. So, yeah. Yeah, really I can keep going more or less indefinitely as long as I stay away from the enemies. Just what always seems to happen is I get impatient, get too close to them, or I hang around for a while trying to get one of the spears, and I just get swarmed eventually. And once you get swarmed, it's basically over. Yeah, look at this Yunlai go. All those big purple numbers. Gotta watch my health though. Okay, there's a shield back there. Which again is not functionally a shield, but I'm pretty sure that is the shield graphic. Or a shield graphic anyway. Okay, maximized our ability to run away. And yeah, meteors becoming crashed into us. The downside is it's kind of hard to see with all that going on. Here for Javelin Boost. Meteors becoming crashed into us. Crit damage. That crit should be triple damage, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of hard to see with all the numbers going on. Yeah, it looks like 900 up to 28. That's triple. Yeah, 930 something to 20 or something. Damage is slowly increasing from Desire. Yeah, that's what happens if you're in the way of a spear and it falls from the sky. Yeah, currently plus 260% damage. Let's get more bigger meteors. Yeah, I'm getting pretty good results from Starfall, according to the chart there. Javelin's doing constant damage, but it's not keeping up. And Yunlai is just ruining things. And I cannot see what is going on at all. Yeah, not being able to see where you are and what's happening is very dangerous in this kind of game. And we got hit by missiles. Now you get your summary. Damage is still going somehow. I think it's lingering effects down on the field. If you look down, there's your battlefield. It's a big square area with some buildings and trees around the edges, a wooden path, and sort of a tuning fork shake. Extra pass off the sides, some flowers, a heart-shaped thing. And at this point, you can check individual weapon statistics by going over here and talking to them effectively. But there's really nothing to do except leave. And if you cleared the previous 2 endless part, that counts as a victory. You get scored on the leaderboard if you got enough kills. And then you just go back to the lobby. Yeah, that's how Genshin Survivor goes. I kind of wish the Miliastra Wonderland could be like a standalone. You could run separate from the main Genshin Impact game, but that's not the way it's set up. You can also play around with your character's outfits if you want. Of course, they want you to buy stuff to get premium outfits, and I don't really see the point of that. Some people do. But yeah. Anyway, this has been our film playing Genshin Survivors in the Miliastra Wonderland of Genshin Impact. That was... let me check the game information. This was by Splucy, apparently. There is an update log available for creators, but they don't always remember to update it. You can see the leaderboard here. People can leave ratings, do comments, get game information. Anyway, our film playing Genshin Survivors, and yeah, I still haven't decided what we're going to be doing next week, but I'll come up with something, start another series that's not just one-offs. But yeah, until then, enjoy your weekend.